live from New York. It's a show that I'm saying the Magic have a little bit of something.
Here's a little workaround, America. Wilds is going to be extra informed on all the numbers of any team that just beat the Lakers. Wilds all of a sudden spouting off. He's like, you know how bad the Magic's offense has been? And I'm like, why does he know this? I'm like, because it's a workaround to get to the Lakers.
I'm just right about a take.
What's the take?
That the Lakers' defense is fraudulent.
It's
okay.
Okay.
It's 2 games.
It's okay.
Is it? What do you see?
Actually, it's been a little longer, but LeBron was out.
That's right. Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
But we're starting with the Orlando Magic, who made the Lakers' defense disappear. Fresh off of holding the Bulls to under 150,
well done.
The Lake Show gave up 118 points to the Magic, who scored the fewest points in the league. Luka had 32, LeBron had 24 in his second game back. Brew, how concerning are the back-to-back losses, and what's your message?
Well, look, I'm not coming off my pick of the Lakers winning the West, but there's good news and bad news for Lakers fans. All right, and everybody's focusing on the defense, which is, we know the struggle's there. But I'm going to go offense, and I'm going to deliver the bad news first. And I am a huge fan of his. I nicknamed him Luka Legend, Larry Bird 2.0. But Luka Doncic is a ball hog. A great ball hog. A Hall of Fame ball hog. Future Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
An all-time elite ball hog. He's a ball hog. Watching that game, and I've watched him throughout his career, but that game
put you over the top.
This was ridiculous. What is this? You got all these guys just standing watching you. He took 9 shots in the first quarter, okay? And actually he took 4 or 5 free throws, so he probably took 11 shots in the first quarter. And here's the thing. It's one thing to be a ball hog when you got Tim Hardaway as a teammate. Heck, even Jalen Brunson and Kyrie Irving. But when you are going 5 out and everybody's standing there watching you operate and LeBron James is a teammate, that ain't good. And here's where the problem is. Look at LeBron. LeBron's like, he's treating LeBron like Chris Bosh and Kevin Love felt when it was LeBron and D-Wade and LeBron and Kyrie. And here's the thing. This takes away, this is related to the defense. Because when you are just watching one guy operate and you're standing there watching him do all this and take sometimes back, even he's making some of them, but they're bad shots, that takes away from your morale, especially when that guy can't defend. When he's getting blown by and beaten on defense and then coming down on the other side shooting all these shots, that seeps away at your morale and affects you on the other end of the floor. Now, the good news is, I think we saw it earlier when Luka was there and LeBron was there. They played well off each other, and there was a lot of movement, ball movement, player movement, and guys were getting open shots. So it can be fixed. That's the good news. And LeBron, I don't know, look, none of the other players can say anything to Luka. I think Luka will adjust naturally. I think he got used to doing this with LeBron out. Yeah. And Austin was kind of the second guy. And you know, he's got to now come back and regroup now that LeBron's back. But if he does it, LeBron's the only one. I don't even think Reddit could say something. Reddit could say something to him, but LeBron's the only one could really say, look, we got to do it different. I don't know that it'll come to that, but here's what I would do if I'm the opponent. Because this is what Orlando did. Single cover Luka all game. I'm not doubling him. Because he might take 50 shots. I mean, seriously, just don't double him. Because if you double him, that's when he's most dangerous. Because he's going to get his 30 whether you double him or not. And then he's giving up the lobs and he's kicking out and getting open looks. Single cover him and see what he does. Okay. That would be interesting.
I love that.
All right, so, there's a lot there. When Bruce said he had a message to deliver, I really thought it was going to be to the Lakers defense. I didn't think it was going to be that.
As a ball hog.
We know the defense and what they got to do. That's how I feel.
And so, but of all days, I mean, right, the day, shout out Tim McMahon. release day of his book, Wonder Boy. You know, Tim wrote a whole book about Luka Doncic with the Dallas Mavericks, and then after it went to print, they traded him. And shout out to Tim. He added a chapter, did all of it. I can't wait to read the book. Listen, is Luka a tad heliocentric? Sure. I also think that we always, you know how one of the things I like to say about football is in the offseason, during the season we talk about how important coordinators are, in the offseason we disregard it. A basketball cousin of that is every single player tells us, man, after time off, there's no way to prepare to play NBA basketball other than playing NBA basketball. We hear that, we see it. Luka's first 3 games back after the injury, people were like, maybe Nico was right. But he was rusty. And so even though LeBron got his numbers, I do think there is an element of LeBron working himself back into playing ball. And because of that, it gave Luka even more of a license to kind of do his thing, so to speak. One of the reasons I am unconcerned is because, and the Lakers haven't really earned this privilege, but it's how they play. To me, it is about attention and intensity. And you've seen it, if you just look at the Lakers this year versus the West compared to versus the East, you see the only team in Western Conference games better than them all year. It's Oklahoma City. Meanwhile, amongst all teams, that's just amongst ranks among Western Conference teams, so there's only 15.
Right.
They're 11th against the East, which only has 4 teams we really think are good. And that, to me, was evidence, along with the rust of LeBron, along with some other things, by the last couple games. And it's evidenced by that when LeBron was out, one of their worst games was against Brooklyn, and one of their, then they played better against the better competition. I don't think they have, Wilds, the luxury of taking teams lightly.
No.
And so because of that, I still think their upside is as high as anybody in the league. But on a night-to-night basis, if they are not locked, connected, and together, anybody can just score at will on them. So you were focused on the offense. 118 to the Magic is 155 to the Thunder.
Because that's their problem, the Magic.
Correct.
They're great defensively,
and so
but they can't score.
I am not as... I think you are probably a little more fatalistic about this being something they can't overcome. I am more resigned to the fact that if they are not locked in from the beginning, anybody can beat them. I don't think that'll be a problem come the playoffs, but it will impact who they play in the playoffs, and we'll see how the seeding falls out.
Let me get your reaction to this graphic, because first 40 games, they were 24th in defensive rating. Their record was 22-18. The next 21 games, that was with a little bit of AD, and then with Luka. Without AD, we're like, oh my goodness gracious, J.J. Redick figured it out.
And it was very little AD in that middle stretch.
Yeah.
Very little.
Yeah, so that's why the numbers are like, what's going on here? But they were number 1. Last 10 games, 3-7. They're back to 23rd. They're 0-3 in games with LeBron. We counted the Celtics game because he played most of that game. So you want them around 12th, but oddly, they've only been 24th and 1st. So it kind of equals out to 12th, but where do you think they end up?
I think they can be 12th or, good enough to get to the finals. And I agree with Nick. It's all about attention to detail. And they keep talking about it, the talking, communication. They have to be more plugged in than your typical team because LeBron is 40 years old. Luka's not a great defender individually. Austin Reeves not a great defender individually.
And they don't have
size, right?
I don't think it's going to work.
Jackson Hayes is as good as he is offensively at the rim. He's not much,
so
he's not
big. Like the nucleus.
It has to be. Individually, their best defenders are guys that aren't going to play a ton.
So DFS, I don't buy.
Vanderbilt. But if you in the NBA is team defense. If you have team defense and you're locked in,
can I make an argument? When Draymond is the nucleus.
Yes, of course.
So when Jimmy comes, Draymond can
but that
he's
team
the captain.
Can be great defensive.
They're the best.
Yeah.
I get it, but I don't know. Like, hey, who's the leader of the defense? Like, not 100% sure. There's no focal point of the defense.
There's no individual great defender, but again, if you communicate, you can be a team.
I mean, but that's, I guess, so this is where, and then we can move on quickly. Do you think your concerns about the Lakers, in your opinion, is what's going to prevent them from getting to the finals, or your concerns about the Lakers is what's going to shock you if they make the conference finals?
If they get sniped, we know how it's going to happen.
No, I agree with that. But I'm saying, would you be shocked if they end up in the conference finals?
No.
Okay, all right. So then we're
superstars.
No. So that's okay. So your skepticism of them is just about winning all 4 rounds, or winning 3. So because what I was going to say is, who is that guy for Denver? Or for Houston, you can say it's Dylan Brooks.
I would still say it's
Houston's a defensive team.
Yeah, but so for
and their culture is.
And Ime's like, I'm a defensive guy.
Denver's fair,
I shoot threes.
I would say Denver doesn't have it.
No, and that's going to kill him.
Okay, so all right. So I understand then better your skepticism, which is essentially you just think the championship field is far narrower. You think it's Oklahoma City and Boston?
Yeah, that's why I said defense wins championships.
Oh, okay.
That's why it took
across sports.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Holy cow. Yeah. Meanwhile, South Bay Lakers put on a show. Bronny, fresh off his best NBA performance, also posted his best G League performance, 39, 7, 4, and 4 steals. Your reaction to Bronny's performance?
Wildly impressed. He has had now close to 10, professional games. Better than any college game he had.
Oh, yeah.
That's interesting.
And I had been kind of harping on it. You then crystallized it to chalking up his freshman year to the cardiac arrest, and I think that is exactly right. Yep. I also think it is incredibly impressive and noteworthy that LeBron's interaction with Stephen A. did put another target on Bronny. It wasn't the reason for it, and I defend LeBron vociferously on the right to do that. Right. But in that moment, Bronny was kind of flying under the radar for the first time in a while, and then he wasn't. And the fact that Bronny responded to that by his best pro game, his best, and then trumped his best G League game with a legitimately excellent G League game is really impressive. And then I would just remind the audience of this. He is really young for the G League. Like the NBA has more 19 and 20-year-olds than the G League.
So they're grown men trying to make a name for themselves.
Correct. And so amongst the kids, the 20-somethings in the G, not 20-somethings, 20 or younger, I mean, he's averaging the most points, and it's not on like, oh, he's just chucking. His numbers and his efficiency, he's 22, 5, and 5 on 46, 38, 80. And so Kevin O'Connor tweeted to me today, and he's a draft guy, I'm not so much, that if they redid this last year's draft today, he would be an end of the first round guy. I don't know if that's right or wrong. I trust KOC's draft stuff, but he is 100% validating the pick, and he is answering every call. And I do think for the most scrutinized second-round pick ever, I don't know, you know what I mean, of my lifetime, I think it's really impressive.
It's incredible because he's never been a big scorer.
No.
I mean, now some of it in high school, he was on a stacked team with a bunch of Division I players. But as a junior, he averaged 9 points, even a tick below. As a senior, he averaged 14. In college, you mentioned his best game in college was 15 points. And he only had 3 double-digit scoring games at USC in 25 games. And now he's averaging 22 in the G League. I get it. It's the G League. You take most NBA players, and they would do really well in the G League. But again, he's 20. He should be a sophomore in college. He's just, a couple years removed from the cardiac arrest. Like, I am wholly convinced now that it was the cardiac arrest that led to him looking bad at USC, because he did look bad. And now, I just can echo what I said last week. His work ethic is incredible. Like, you watch him, I said, and I didn't blame LeBron in them, but I was saying during this season to people and talking about Bronny, I thought LeBron, I don't blame him. He probably thought Bronny was going to grow to be 6'5" at least, or maybe his height. I was like, he should have had Bronny playing point exclusively as he was growing up, because he has the basketball IQ of LeBron, or at least close, but he didn't seem to have the handle and just the comfortability running the point when we saw him earlier in the year. But now when you watch those highlights and watch some of those games in the G League, his handle looks better. He looks more comfortable. He's more in control. Like, he's in today's NBA, where it's not just about directing traffic as a point guard. He has the skills well enough to play point guard in the NBA now. And his shooting three-pointer has improved, mid-range. Like, you can see the growth, and it's just tremendous. And as you said, Nick, the pressure, the scrutiny, all that he's getting, and these guys in the G League don't give a darn about Bronny James. They're looking at him like, oh, they're going to be eyeballs on this game tonight. Because Bronny's playing, I'm about to abuse him. Right. And he's getting 39. So it's pretty incredible. I did not, in my wildest dreams for him this year, I didn't see him. I get it. It's the G League, but still, I didn't see him having games like this.
Finally, some unfortunate news from superstar JuJu Watkins. She tore her ACL early into USC's eventual win over 9-seed Mississippi State. Watkins expected to be named National Player of the Year after another terrific season, which has her on pace after 2 years to break Caitlin Clark's scoring record. Your reaction to this injury?
It's crushing. Listen, Paige tore her ACL. Yeah. Came back and is one of, arguably the best player in the country. I think it's JuJu, but one of the best is going to be a star. It's a time-consuming injury, but you can come back and be just as good. I am bummed because the way women's basketball players can become stars is capturing America's attention during the tournament. That's Caitlin, and also, honestly, Angel. It was a 2-year thing that started in the tournament and then carried them the next year. This was going to be her moment. I don't know. She had a game recently of 38 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, 7 blocks. That stat line has not been put up by a man or woman in college or pro basketball this century. It is not hyperbolic to say she profiled out as the best women's player of this generation, potentially. I think she still might, I hope she still does. I just hate that she gets robbed of this run and next season. Like this, because of when this happens, she's probably out 12 months. I still would buy all the JuJu Watkins stock, but it's just such a bummer.
Yeah, no doubt. And I agree. Hopefully, ACL isn't what it used to be.
Yep.
She should be able to come back from this and be the same player. So we all hope that's the case. It's a bummer also just for women's basketball because, and this is not just about women. When the NBA resurrected itself in the 80s, David Stern, the then commissioner, late David Stern, he attached it to individuals, Magic and Bird, then Michael Jordan. And now the league's popularity has always been because of the individual name on the marquee, not just the teams. You saw that same thing happening with the rise of women's basketball. It was Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. Individually, people want to, they were more popular than just South Carolina, which was a great team. Yeah. And South Carolina's coach obviously had her name as well. And so, but now it was JuJu and Paige Becker and Hidalgo from, Notre Dame. So now you take one of those individuals away. People were looking forward to seeing if Becker's and JuJu's met in the Elite Eight. So you take that away, it probably takes some eyeballs off of the tournament for the women and takes you saw last year the ratings were phenomenal. Maybe Becker's, if she really carries them and does some nice stuff, that'll get more eyeballs there. But I think it's unfortunate, obviously, for JuJu and USC, but also for the women's game, period.
Next game for USC, K-State on Saturday.
And then, listen, I think they'll beat K-State even without JuJu. And now this, for me, this tournament, on the women's side, it's South Carolina trying to, maintain its dominance on one side of the bracket, and then an absolute collision course between UCLA and UConn.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.